Hello and welcome to part 3 of my Blender for Absolute Beginners tutorial series. In this episode we are going to look at a few more advanced modeling techniques as well as a few neat tips and tricks for creating good-looking materials. And we are going to do that by creating a generic USB flash drive. And we all know what those look like, so let's go ahead. Shift A and add a cube, and then tab into edit mode, and let's scale this beast way down, because we are going to make the little metal USB plug first. So hit S and Z to scale it along the Z axis, and then elongate it slightly along the Y axis. And now go ahead and select faces from the bottom pane. Select the front face as well as shift selecting the back face. And now you hit W and you get this fantastic little menu with awesome tools. The tool we want is called Inset Faces, so go ahead and click that. Now the metal on these things is quite thin, so I think something like this will do just fine. Okay, and now go ahead and select vertices from the bottom pane. Hit 1 on your numpad to go into front view. And if you remember from our previous video, we're going to do a loop cut. So press Ctrl R until your little purple line appears, and then just left click and left click again without moving your mouse. And we have a cut along the center. Hit A to deselect, and now hit Z to go into wireframe mode. And now we're going to select half of the plug. So hit B and drag your little box along the vertices on one of the sides. It doesn't really matter which side as long as one of them is selected. Hit X and remove the vertices. Now we can hit Z again to go back into shaded view. So yes, now we have cut this thing in half. And that is because we are going to add a neat little modifier. So click the little wrench and click the drop down menu and select the mirror modifier. And then you can tick the little clipping box. And now any change we make to this side will automatically appear on this side. So it saves half the work. Now you can go ahead and select faces again in the bottom pane. And select the front face as well as the bottom face. Now let's go ahead and do a couple of cuts first. No, actually, let's not. I should have planned this a little better. I'm sorry, but here we go. Okay, and you can hit X and remove these faces. And now it should look like this. And then select edges. Okay, and let's select this edge right here and select the corresponding edge on the other side and hit F. F for fill. Oh, that's the wrong edge. And now when this is filled, we are going to create the little holes on the top of any USB plug. So let's go ahead and make a couple of loop cuts. Ctrl R. This should be fine, and let's make another one right about there. And we will do this on the top as well. And now you can see that this is not really straight, and we fix that by hitting S followed by X because it's wonky along the X-axis. So hit X followed by 0 and click, and that gives us a straight line. Okay. Actually, they are not square like this. So to select, sorry, to select multiple edges at the same time, instead of just shift selecting, you can press Alt Shift and select, and that will select the entire loop. No, actually, I think it's this one that's a little bit off. Okay, you can go ahead and remove this face. And what you can do next is, yes, we need to cut it on the inside as well. So go into top view and hit Z. And now we are going to cut the inside of this. So here we see the purple line doesn't go all the way out. It stays in the inside. So go ahead and make this cut and just kind of place it on top of the other line. And let's go ahead and do that again for this one. And there we go. Can remove this, and we should do the same kind of hole on the bottom as well. So go into top view again, hit Z, and let's try to make this happen. And there we go. And let's just kind of place that there. Yes, it doesn't matter if these are not perfectly aligned. We can change that in a minute. So just hit S for scale, X for the X-axis, 0 to straighten these out. And that's Alt Shift S X 0. Okay. So now with this one, this line selected, go into top view, and now we can press Z to enter the wireframe view. And here we see the other line, so go ahead and Alt Shift select that one and drag until they align. Okay, that is looking pretty fancy. So let's select faces from the bottom pane, remove the bottom face and this face right here. Now we can select edges, and let's fill this up like we did the last time. And fill is F, if you remember. So select 2 edges on corresponding sides and hit F to fill those bad boys. And in a place like this, when it gets tough to see what you're doing, you can hit Z and enter wireframe mode, and that makes things a lot easier. And if you remember the previous episode, this is going to be smoothable. So if we add the subdivision surface modifier now, it's looking pretty weird. So let's go ahead and click the little eyeball. And let's go nuts with the Control R keys. Add a cut here, there, and here, and here, and here too, and along this one. So this is the boring part of 3D modeling. Oh. So basically you need to add loop cuts like this, so that you cut it before and after every edge. And let's go ahead and do that on the bottom as well. And let's cut the inside here too. Okay, it should be looking something like this. So now we need to cut these edges. And this time, don't go too close to the edge because we want this to be, it shouldn't be too sharp. So something like this should be great. And we need to add another loop cut to make this edge sharper and on the inside as well. Now this is not going to be noticeable, but we should add a cut here and here too. And let's do that on the front as well. And it's the same thing here, we don't want this to be too sharp. We want a little bit of reflection from here. Okay, and now you can go ahead and turn on the modifier and look at your edge. Oh, and click smooth on the shading. That is actually looking good. So the cuts that we did on the back, they were completely useless. Oh, and this is just a shading defect from within the... It's not going to be noticeable when you render. Oh, actually it is. We forgot to cut the inside. I am sorry about that, but it happens. Okay. Our little metal plug is finished. No, it's not. I forgot another cut. And one here as well. I am sloppy today, I apologize. But this is how it is. Yes, this is looking good. I am happy with this. So now you can go to the top view by pressing 7 on your numpad. And let's add another cube. And tab into edit mode and scale this way down. And it should touch the edge like that. Yeah, like that. And scale it along the Z-axis. And then bring it down. And let's make this smoothable. And this is basically the little plastic thing inside of the plug. No, actually, it's a little bit too short, as you can see. So let's hit 3 on the numpad and hit Z to go into wireframe mode, select vertices, B, box select this side and just drag it out. Oh, sorry, wrong button. I should have hit A. And do the same thing to this side. B to box select and then just drag it. Okay, you can hit Tab and Z. And now we have the plug. If you want to, you can go ahead and add the little metal thingamagoos inside of this, but it's not really necessary. Nobody will notice. Okay, you can hit 7 on your numpad and let's make the plastic body that will house our little flash drive. So go ahead and add another cube. Can drag this out to the side and hit Tab to go into edit mode and scale it down. Something like this should be fine actually. So go ahead and tab into edit mode again, scale it along the Z axis. And now go ahead and duplicate this and just grab one of them and put it aside for later. Okay, so now you should have this little cube. You can tab into edit mode again. You can select the back side and create the basic length of the flash drive. And now you can select the front face, hit W again, and inset this part right here. Yes, this is pretty good. And select the center face. And now hit 3 on your numpad. Now we're going to extrude this. So hit the E key on your keyboard and drag it out. And if it doesn't come out at a straight angle, you can press Y, because it's the Y axis that we want to be extruding it in. So just extrude it out a bit, maybe to about there. And yeah, that's fine. And now we're going to hit inset face once again. This is okay. These should meet, so go ahead and select edges on the bottom pane and just adjust your edges so that they are nice and tight. And do it along the sides as well. Now if you want to, you can go ahead and cut this thing in half and add the modifier. Actually, let's go ahead and do that. So select vertices, deselect everything, go into front view, and cut this thing in half. Now you didn't see that because this little thingamagoo was in the way. So let's do something about that before we continue. Select the other box that will become the cap later. Hit M on your keyboard followed by 2. And now we have moved that little bastard to a second layer. So if you just hit 2 on your keyboard, there he is. If you hit 1, and we're back here. Okay, so now we can go ahead and go into front view and hit tab to go into edit mode, deselect, hit Z, B, box select half, and remove the vertices. Hit X and then select vertices. Press Z again and add the mirror modifier and check clipping. Now we can select this face on the inside here and we can hit E to extrude it again along the Y axis and drag him inside. So he should be inside of the of this part right here, like this. And you can tab out, and now we can select the parts for the plug and move them to the second layer as well. So M followed by 2. And now we only have this bit right here. So select it and go into edit mode. And now we are going to make this safe to smooth. So just do like we did before and put a loop cut around every edge. So just follow the geometry of the plug and add a cut. And like before, the back part should be a little bit smoother, at least I want it to be. So place the cut further away from the edge. And let's cut it like this. And bottom side as well. And to make that a little bit rounder, we can just select this and drag that down a bit, and this one we can drag up. That will make it a little bit more smooth. And you can select smooth shading from the side pane. And let's finish these cuts right here. Okay, and this is our basic USB shape. And now let's actually go ahead and cut this in half and hit SZ0 to make it perfectly straight. And you can tab out, and we are going to duplicate this. So hit Shift D, and you can press M3 to move that other piece to a third layer. And go into edit mode again. And let's select vertices, hit Z. You can go ahead and turn off that modifier, it will be a little bit cleaner to look at. And select the bottom half and remove the vertices. Because every part of everything that is a separate part in the real world object should be a separate part in the 3D object. You can go ahead. No, let's actually skip that. Yes. So go ahead and Shift, Alt Shift select the entire thing like this. Before we do anything, we are going to hit Shift S and select cursor to selected. No. Oh yes, let's tab out and hit the cursor to selected. So that the cursor is basically in the middle of the USB drive part. Okay, now hit Alt, Shift and select. And now you hit E for extrude, and then you scale this down just a tad. And we can go ahead and scale it a little bit on the X axis as well. So that we get this little edge right here, and then adjust it. Yes, we should have this little ledge kind of thing. And then hit E again and Z to bring it down. And then we make another loop cut to make that angle safe. And then we loop cut it again and once more. So it should something like this. You cut it before the ledge, on the ledge, and after the ledge. So when smoothed, it should look something like this. Okay, and now press 3 on your keyboard. Select the part that we moved. Hit M followed by 1 to bring it back to our first layer, and hit 1 on your keyboard to go there as well. Hit 1 on your numpad, tab for edit mode, and hit Z and select vertices, because we are going to be removing the top half of this one. So go ahead and select the top by B and dragging, X and vertices. Oh, you can also remove the subsurface modifier by clicking that little eye. Okay, you can go back to shaded view by hitting Z, and now we want to Shift Alt select the top line and bring it down slightly. And then we do basically the same thing as before, but we remove some of the steps. So hit E followed by S and bring that in. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. You can scale it a little bit on the X-axis as well. And let's make a couple of loop cuts. Like so. Okay. Now we have the basic shape, and you can see where the two halves come together. So now hit 2 and select these two parts, M1 to move them to the first layer again. And this is a pretty good start. We are almost done. But let's add a logo type thing to the top part of the body of the... And I'm sorry if you can hear my cat, she wants food. Okay, so hit 7 on your numpad to go into top view, and then hit tab for edit mode. And we are going to do a couple of more cuts. What we want is basically a square shape, kind of a rectangle. And this is not any, it's not precise by any means, just make some kind of shape on the top. And then let's hit E, extrude, and bring that down along the Z axis. And we can go ahead and click the eyeball so that we see what we're doing. And let's make this safe for smoothing by adding even more cuts. Like so. Yes, that is pretty good. Did I? Yes, I forgot this angle right there. Okay. So now we have a hole for our logo. Oh, and yes, oh, I'm sorry, I completely forgot what I was going to say, but that's fine. I think we can manage. Let's add a plane. Go into edit view, edit mode, and scale this down. Tab out of edit mode and bring it to the top. And then scale it so it fits snugly within our little hole. And drag these. Okay, that's pretty good. And select the edges and extrude along the Z axis so that it looks kind of like this. And then go ahead and make this safe for smoothing. And you don't have to worry about the bottom part because that will not be visible. And then we're going to make a few more cuts. So just when you get your purple line, hit the scroll wheel a couple of times until you get a few more lines basically along both sides. And let's grab these faces right here and bring them up a bit. And let's grab these middle vertices and do the same thing, and then these ones, so that we get that kind of a shape. You can tab out, hit smooth shading, and add your subdivider and put it in the hole. Okay, that is looking pretty good. Sorry, my cat is on my desk. Okay, there she's on the floor again. We can continue. Press 2 on your keyboard and select the part that we left out before, and hit M to move it to the first layer, and then hit 1 again. And this will basically be the cap. Now the length is, it's maybe a bit short. So edit mode and scale it a little bit along the y-axis. And now we are going to make a cut pretty close to the center and scale that down along the z-axis slightly. And do the same for these ones, so that it kind of tapers off just a bit. And you can also scale this down in the x-axis as well as these sides. Okay, and select faces on the bottom pane. Select the back face and hit W, inset face. Yeah, that's pretty good. And select the center face again and hit E for extrude and Y to extrude it along the Y-axis. And then scale it down so that it doesn't come out on the other side. And then just make this safe for smoothing by adding cuts along every vital edge. And as before, the edges on the outside should not be too close, because they should be a little bit smoother. They shouldn't be so sharp, basically. This is good. So tab out, hit smooth, and then add your subdivision modifier. Oh, I completely forgot about this side. I am sorry. And there we go. So let's get on with the materials. Okay, so the first material we will create is metallic looking material. So hit the materials tab, add a new material and call that one metal. And you can change, we're not going to be using any real, we're not going to be doing anything fancy, so just select the glossy shader right here from the graphical interface and make it kind of a grayish. No, actually we should probably keep it white. Look at the preview. So you see that looks kind of like a mirror. So we're going to change the roughness to maybe 0.05. No, maybe 0.15. Yes, 0.15 seems to be a good value for the metal. Now let's create the plastic. So let's call this material plastic. And now let's go ahead and go into the node editor, because we are going to be doing quite a lot of stuff in here. Oh, sorry. first we should actually go ahead and apply the mirror modifier on all our pieces. You don't have to do it on the metal plug because that's going to remain the same. But these parts we're actually going to unwrap. So hit edit mode, A, and select everything, hit U and do a smart UV project. Hit OK and do the same thing for all our other plastic parts, including the cap. But go ahead and leave this part for now. Okay, now we can go ahead and enter the node editor. So what we want to do is we want to add a texture coordinate node. And we want a noise texture from the textures pane there. And go ahead and grab the UV output to the vector input. And now I'm going to show you something. If we go back to the 3D view, you can hit T to remove the side panel. And then grab this little corner right here to add another view. Here you can go ahead and add the node editor so that we can see both at the same time. And we should change this view right here to rendered so we will see what it looks like when rendered. So go ahead and add a light source. A point light will do, so that we actually see what we are doing. That might be a little bit too close actually, so let's move it to the side a bit. Yes, this is good. Select the plastic part and now if we grab the color output from the noise texture to the color input on the diffuse, you see that we get all kinds of fancy colors. And that's fine for now because I'm going to show you what to do with this. You can change the scale of the noise to, let's try 50. That's a little bit too big. Let's try 150. This is still a little too big. 200. This looks okay. If instead of grabbing the color, we can grab the FAC value, which is black and white. But we're actually not going to use this on the diffuse shader. I just want to show you what this looks like. Instead, we can disconnect this and grab the FAC value and put it into the displacement node on the material output. And you can see that this creates a really rough surface. But it's a little bit too rough, so go ahead and add a mix RGB node and put it between the noise texture and the material output. And basically what this does is if it's a dark color, it appears as an indentation, and if it's a highlight, well, it elevates it creates a shadow. And if it's pure gray, it does nothing, and that's what we want. So you can go ahead and change the FAC value to maybe 0.9. That's still too rough, but you can see that the surface is a lot smoother, so maybe 0.95. Still a little bit too rough, 0.98. And that is looking pretty good. Okay, go ahead and move these around so that we see what we are doing. we will add a mix shader, put it between the diffuse and the surface. And let's go ahead and add a glossy shader as well and put that to the middle, to the bottom shader on the mix node. And let's try maybe 0.4. No, that's too rough. 0.3 perhaps. That is a lot better. And go ahead and change the FAC value, because now you see that the glossy node is at the bottom and we don't want a whole lot of gloss. So maybe 0.1 will probably do, or maybe 0.15. Yes, that's pretty decent. Now we can go ahead and apply this plastic material to the rest of your plastic parts. And this little thingamagoo inside is not important at all. So let's just add a, plastic 2 and just leave it like it is. Just a basic light color. Let's actually go ahead and create another light source for the render preview. And you can go ahead and change the diffuse color to any color you desire. I'm gonna make mine orange or yellowish. Yeah, that's pretty decent. Okay, you can go back to solid and grab this little triangle again and drag it the other way to collapse the window, so we have one view. And now you can go ahead and select our little plastic logo bit right here. Enter edit mode, select everything, and then hit 7. And we're going to see which gives us the better result. Hit U and just select unwrap. And then go into UV editing. And that did not turn out good at all. And that is because we still have the bottom on this one. I am sorry, I have made another mistake here. So just remove that. So now you basically select every face on the bottom. And the fast way to do that is to hit the C key. And you get kind of a brush thing. So you can select a bit more easily. And I am fully aware that this tutorial is not really of a high quality, but it might be okay. Okay, let's try this again. Go into UV editing, select it and unwrap. And yes, this is a good enough result. So now we can go ahead and drag this down again. And we will now create a custom texture for this one. I will just add a sort of a logo thing. Now this is going to look like crap because this is not a tutorial on how to make textures. So I'm just going to make something really quick and dirty. So you just can see what I'm doing. It doesn't really matter if it looks good or not. I'm just gonna put like horrible gradient and add a piece of text. And now my cat is on my mouse pad. Hold on, I'm gonna move her. Sorry. Okay, let's add some text. Let's call this the, let's make this bold. Lauren 16 gigabytes. Yeah, should be bold. And put it in the center and export this storage Blender tutorial USB and call this logo export. Yes. Okay, back to Blender. And let's create a new material. Let's call this logo. And go ahead and under the diffuse by the color add an image texture. Open and locate your image and add it. Let's see how this. Whoa, okay. It's kind of funky. So let's go into UV editing. Select our logo from this drop-down menu here, and this will basically show us. Let's go ahead and unwrap that again, rotate it a bit, and scale it down and center like so, and go ahead and hit. Wait a minute, which way was it? Okay, so SY -1. And that basically just inverted the UV map so that the text is not mirrored anymore. Okay, and let's go into our node editor. And this is going to be very, very basic. Just add a mix shader and a glossy shader to give this more of a glossy kind of look. Maybe 0.2. Yeah, 0.2 is probably fine. Go back to default. Oh yes, we have completely forgotten to save this project. You should always save your projects. usb.blend. And the last tutorial, I promised you I would show you something cool with the camera. So go ahead and hit Shift S, cursor to center, and let's add a camera. But just move the camera to the side. And now hit Shift S again and create an empty plane axis. So now go ahead and select the camera and then select the empty and hit Control T and track to constraint. This basically gives your camera an aim. So if we place our camera somewhere, maybe here or so, and now we press 0 to go into camera view, we can just grab this plane axis and look around, which can come in handy. And you can always select the camera by selecting the outline of the view when you are in camera view. Hit G and Z to bring this up. And let's also go ahead and cursor to center and add a plane that this USB drive can rest upon for quick render. A grab your little cap, rotate it so that it lies flat, and basically just pose it. And we already have a couple of light sources, so just maybe one more will do. And let's go ahead and try to give this a render by hitting F12. It's very basic. Let's go ahead and add a few more, maybe 200 samples. The higher the sample value, the less grainy your image will look. But it also takes a lot longer time to render. It requires more computing power. So when you're just testing around, just keep it low. And yes, I do believe that we are done. So thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.